and welcome to Strictly Hockey. I'm Jacob Brown, and as CJ Uri is going to be saying tonight, it's Spencer Knight time in the NHL. He is starting tonight for the Florida Panthers in Game 5 of that what do we even call it now? The Atlantic or the Central Division first round, whatever.
It's still basically the Eastern Conference quarterfinals.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's Game 5 tonight. CJ, you're going. Let's just start off with that, man. We got to talk about the series.
I'm actually not going.
Oh.
So my dad has got 2 tickets for the playoffs. He went Game 1 and then headed up to Michigan for the summer, and then the tickets were me and my sisters for the rest of the playoffs, however many games there will be. And my sisters just wanted to go to a game, just them two at some point. So I said, go Game 5, and if the hockey gods want me to go back to a game, they'll get me to a Game 7. Which I'm not at all like mad at all. I'm glad that they can go and enjoy it. They both have their Panthers jerseys already out on their bed. They got the Ekblad jersey going and a Jovanovski jersey going, so pretty cool. They're stoked, so they'll go and have a good time. But anyway, yeah, I'm not as nervous as I was the last couple of games, just because we're down 3-1 right now. It's going to take a massive effort to come back. I think for me, it's one game at a time. Like, it'd be sweet if we could win this game and I can get excited for another game on Wednesday. It's hard to beat the Lightning or any team. It's hard to beat any team 3 in a row in this league, and it's especially hard to beat the Lightning 3 in a row. So I don't think that that's going to happen, but it would be sick if we could get this to a Game 7.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a series. I mean, every game besides Saturdays has been close. So if you're Florida, you just take one at home and you go from there. Then you go and steal a road game somehow, some way. And then, in a blink of an eye, 3-1's really not that big of a deficit than people think. It's just win one and move on. So be interesting to see who they go in net. The goaltending situation's been kind of in shambles, but I mean, most of these goals, it's just you can't really go wrong. I mean, everyone wants to point the finger, Bobrovsky this, Bobrovsky that. But I mean, look at the breakaways that the defense has given up, and then the power play has been unreal for the Lightning. So I think there hasn't been any soft goals given up. It's just unfortunate that they're giving up these 4 or 5 spots. But I think if you go Spencer Knight, maybe you get some kind of Matt Murray, Magic, Jordan Binnington kind of deal here. But I don't know. That'll be an interesting storyline going into tonight. Who they go in the net with, but I think it's gonna be a hard battle. I think we were talking about it before we came on, that this game I think has the writings to go to overtime. I mean, game 3 was electric, back and forth, both teams coming back in points in that game. So I think tonight Florida's gonna give it their all, and it's gonna be a fight to the end. They don't want to go home. The Lightning want to move on, so it's gonna be a bloodbath again. The end of Game 4 was ugly, and there was scrums, fights. The Duclair thing, the Hornquist hit wasn't bad. Just it's the way the series is going, and it's a good rivalry, and it's gonna keep going into tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely was very surprised at the Duclair incident at the end of the game. I've never taken Duclair to be one of those guys to kind of take a little bit of a cheap shot. And I've never really, Duclair's been in Florida this season. I don't really ever miss a game on TV, especially this past season, because they're just traveling. I haven't been traveling, just been working, get off work, watch the game. So I've had time to watch the games, and I've never had an instance where I was like, oh, damn, Duclair just had a moment. So that was definitely very odd. And I do think that Duclair was still pissed off at the McDonough thing. And ever since that hit in the first game with McDonough, I just haven't seen Duclair the same player. Duclair's usually that speed guy on line 1 with Verhaeghe, where he carries the puck. And a lot of the line 1's success this year with Verhaeghe, Barkov, Duclair is Barkov hasn't had to do the heavy lifting of constantly bringing the puck in the zone. And Duclair, a lot of times, will get the puck from our blue line and just put his head down and just go straight right into the offensive zone and dump the puck in. And I haven't seen that. I find that the Lightning defense and the Panthers defense are complete opposites, where you have the Panthers defense who are smaller, who have some more speed and are more of those finesse type defenders, where the Lightning have the bigger body guys who will kill you down low and pin you in the boards and, get the puck out, no nonsense. Right. So I had thought that if Duclair could get his legs back, right, in that line with Verhaeghe, where if you can get McDonough and Chernak and those guys to turn and have to make a play on that puck while you're hounding them from behind and they know you're coming in, I thought we could get some offense, but I just haven't seen that from Duclair. So I think there was some frustration at the end of the game. We got killed on Saturday. I'm not excusing it one bit. It was a cheap shot. I don't think he intended for it to be as hurtful as it was to Kucherov, who thankfully is okay, because you don't want to see a guy like that not okay. But again, tons of cheap shots this series from both teams. They're everywhere. I mean, every time a Panthers player ends up in the front of the net and the puck is loose, it's all hell, and it's vice versa. So definitely uncharacteristic from Duclair. I thought the Hornqvist hit was fine. I thought like people online that are like, Hornqvist needs to know that he's not close enough to the boards and it's at an awkward distance from the boards where if he decks him, he's going to go into the boards. And I'm like, what? Like, get the hell out of here. Like, give me a break. The guy is trying to make a play here. He just got hacked from behind. Hornqvist is an angel, in my opinion. The guy gets destroyed every single game. Every game. Like, I don't know how that guy hasn't brought a gun to the freaking rink and shot somebody by now, because the guy is just gets whacked every time he's in front of the net. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's like going to lose a head. And I think he just took a hit on Sergachev, who had the puck on his stick still. And again, it was an awkward fall, but regardless, it'll carry over into tonight, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you get to game 13, 14, 15. These teams just get pissed off with each other. They go into the game saying, boy, I really don't want to see that guy again because I really want to kill him right now. That's what you get by game 13, 14. And, you pointed it out, CJ, too, where the Panthers and the Lightning are kind of opposite defenses. That doesn't mean good and versus bad. It means they're different styles. And Tampa they don't let you have space. They take away all space. They're positioned perfectly all the time. And not only their defensemen, but their forwards, while not all of them are big size-wise, they're all fantastic defensive forwards. The Yanni Gourdes, the Sorellis, the Colemans, the Gaudreaus, those are all great defensive forwards that are also a little bit physical as well. And so just all of that mixed in with all of the talent, it's just too much for Florida. But, listen, I don't know if tonight, honestly, if there was no goaltender drama, I would have said Florida would win the home game tonight. I just look at the Spencer Knight thing now, and it's like, you're expecting a rookie to save your entire season. I'm just a little shaky, but I would have said if it was a normal, stable goalie situation and say every game in this series have been 3-2 and the Panthers just happen to lose every game by one goal, I'd be like, yeah, they'll win game 5. But it's like, wait a second, what's going to happen here with Spencer Knight? This is weird.
I think Steve can attest to this, as Steve has watched every game as well. A lot of the goals that the Lightning have scored have come from camping right out front of the net and just not being touched, right? Yanni Gourde's tip the other day was one of the best tips I have genuinely ever seen in the National Hockey League. Like, that puck was going so far wide, and it wasn't like it was an accident, right? Like, Yanni Gourde pulls his stick out and almost in the air brings that puck back in. And it was just, I'm sitting there, I'm like, what in the world? No one's saving that. And again, Nudavara, who's had a horrible series and is beyond just exploitable by the Lightning. What are you doing there, dude? You see McDonough and Chernak and God only knows Ruda and Hedman on the other end of the ice who are just shoving the Panthers players out of the net. And guess what, Vasilevsky, if he sees it, you're going to score. Yeah, I mean, he's going to save it. Sorry, he's going to save it, right? Bobrovsky, A, doesn't know the puck's going wide. B, doesn't know his stick's out here. Bobrovsky's standing there like, fucking move him from the front of the net, and it just doesn't happen. And I think the whole reason why you're hearing this whole Spencer Knight thing is I think Uyghur said it best without it being scripted by the coach. Uyghur said, if Spencer plays, he's a hell of a player. We love him in this locker room. He's got all the swag, and we love playing in front of him, and we love trying to help him out because he's a rookie and he's our guy. You might get a different response from the defense. Now, it should be the same response for Bob and Drieger, right? You should clear out anybody in front of the net. But I think there's that added pressure to clear the net because that's your rookie guy. And you see it with forwards. I mean, your rookie forward comes up and he takes a little bit of a beating. The whole team will make sure that kid's protected. That's it. That has an even bigger weight for a goalie. You always want to clear that crease. You always want to make sure that he's got a clean area and he isn't being, bumped into and whatnot. So I don't know. I agree with you though, Jacob. I think like starting Spencer Knight it's a huge gamble because it's your season. But at the same time, looks like the Lightning have the formula for Drieger, and they definitely have the formula for Bobrovsky. So at this point, it's like, what do you have to lose? Because Spencer Knight has made some unbelievable saves in the regular season. It's not like he played against nobody.
Yeah, I mean, he's the goalie of the future, so there's something there to him.
Yeah,
exactly. And Linda Cohn from, I think she's with ESPN still. I don't know, but you know who Linda Cohn is.
Yeah.
She tweeted, this might be the lightning in a bottle, no pun intended, for the Panthers, because it's like it could have that like Cashin said, that Bennington or that Murray effect. Now you're down 3-1 in the series. You're in a fucking hole, right?
Yeah.
If Knight is your guy to catch fire and Knight is your guy to get the guys in front of you to play better, that's your guy. Because I think 5-on-5, the Panthers have looked great. Like they came out game that on Saturday, I was like, holy shit, they're buzzing.
It was an eyelash in that game. Your eyelash away. I mean, I was saying it. I mean, unfortunately, Lightning the bounce off the board, get past to Sorelli, and then Florida gets caught in the change. But that first 5-6 minutes, they were forward. I don't know how they didn't score. I mean, Vasilevsky played, he was on his head in that first 5 minutes, but they were buzzing. Then the first goal goes in, then Gord gets the tip, and then it kind of changed the whole dynamic of the game. But going back to the goaltending thing with Knight you have what he had to lose tonight the rest of the way. Yeah, you had the season, it could end. But at the same time, both goalies haven't shown you, Drieger, Bobrovsky, they both shown the same kind of lapses where, yes, guys aren't clearing the front of the net, getting tips, just kind of getting some unfortunate goals, just some breakdowns there. But I think you provide that spark to your team, and who knows, maybe he comes out and pitches a shutout, 1 goal, lets up 1 or 2 goals. But I think that's the way you go. If it gives them a spark, if the guy's like playing in front of him, it could change the mindset of the Panthers backside, the defense, whatnot. So we'll see where they go, what direction, but it sounds really like they're going with Spencer. But I think for the Panthers, it's play forward still. They've played good enough hockey to win. This series could be 2-2. I mean, stealing game 1 for the Lightning, I just think they're evenly matched teams. It's just at points you can see the experience level for Tampa kind of take over a little bit. And I think the Panthers have taken some bad penalties at times. So if they stay out of the box, they have a great fighting chance tonight, and it's going to be a battle for sure. So can't wait to watch it. Got 8:00 start tonight, a little later, but
yep, 8:00.
It'll be good. Good.
Hey, we got that premium CNBC broadcast tonight. How about that? But it's just absolutely, it's just absolutely incredible to me how we've gone in the span of 4 games where pre-game 1 it's who's the better Florida Panthers goalie to we don't fucking want either of them. It's just amazing how that happened in 4 games.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, look, like for me, here's what, as a Panthers fan, like I'm of course going into tonight, I'm like, give me a win. But I think in the back of my mind here, like you get I watch not the replays of the games, but I watch highlights and stuff. And I'm like, fuck, when are the Panthers going to get that one bounce, right? Or that game where they're getting some of the bounces, and it's like, wow, last game that wasn't going to go in. Right. And I'm not saying Yanni Gord isn't a great hockey player. I would welcome him on my team at any time. Right. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, when are the Panthers going to get like a crazy deflection like that to turn the tide? So what if, like, for me, it's like, what if the Panthers find a little spark in the goalie and start getting some of the bounces over this game and then potentially move it into the next game if they can win? Then it's like, holy shit, anything can happen. But if it's going the way it is now, where the Lightning are not only are they the more composed team, they're getting the bounces. They have this goalie that's making freak show saves, even when you've done everything you can. Who knows? my only thing now is like I'm praying that the Tampa's luck sort of runs out a little bit and they have to get back to relying on skill and playing like a straightforward hockey game. And the Panthers start getting some luck. That's the only way we're going to get back into this.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And the way to get that luck, if you're Florida, you got to get that space out in front of the net, which they've been struggling with. And so if you can just set the pucks up. If you get one guy, I mean, I know I always relate it back to the Rangers just because I know the stat. You get somebody on your team like Chris Kreider. He was on the ice for 45% of screened goals by the Rangers. Get one guy that's big and knows how to shove someone out of the front of the net who stands there and just screens. You know, it could just be something like that where it closes the difference a little bit. So I want to go to the other series now. Nashville, actually. I mean, hey, CJ, you said it last pod. They are going to be there this series. They just tied it up in Nashville, 2 games apiece. They won in double overtime, 4-3. Awesome to see the crowd there. It's like a sellout, like a real one. So that was awesome to see. So listen, I still don't think Nashville's going to win the series. Carolina's probably going to go home in front of their fans and win game 5. And then they'll probably close it down game 6. But you got to give it to Nashville here. They're keeping their head in the game.
Yep. And that's what I said on the pod. I said that I'm sorry, but out of all the number 1 seeds in the league, that's probably the 1 seed where I'm like, shit, you have to play the Predators. I'm not scared of the Predators goal scoring wise.
Right.
I'm not scared of them skill wise, but they're built for the playoffs. You watch the Predators play, they're going to hit anything and anything that moves. And they're playing like assholes. Right. And that's the only, like, that they all got together in the locker room when that season was derailing a little bit. The Blackhawks were the 4 seed. The Stars still had like 8 games in hand, and the Predators, something changed with that team. And I'm sure Cashin also realized it because you guys played the Predators just as much as we play the Predators. They became different, and they became extremely tough to play against, and they became desperate, and it only got better and only went into the playoffs more. And I still think the Carolina Hurricanes win. They could win the next 2 games in a row and it'd be a 6-game series, and you know, like, I wouldn't be surprised. But I was saying, like, you know, I think it was Adam who said he thinks the Hurricanes are going to sweep. I'm like, Hurricanes can sweep a team that doesn't play hockey like this. A team that plays hockey like this is just constantly hitting, being assholes, doing everything in their possible. And then the UC Saros, who's like such an asshole to play against, the guy that makes ridiculous saves, 57 saves a night. I'm like, I'm sorry, they're not getting swept. And not only that, they're going to push this to 6. And now you're seeing it. And I still think the Hurricanes come out. Like you said, they're going to win the series. But, oh, my God, I wouldn't want to play the Predators at any point in the playoffs because, as you can see, the Lightning are having their way physically with the Panthers. And the Predators would eat most of these Panthers players for lunch.
Yeah, I mean, this Preds team, it was the turning point. I don't know. I think just before the midway point in the season, they got healthy again. They got Forsberg back. Duchesne was fully healthy. They started to figure out the goaltending situation, and they started looking like the Predators team when they ultimately lost the Stanley Cup to the Penguins. But you're starting to see that kind of team again. Like they're hitting, they're flying, they found the goaltending. And hey, I mean, it took double overtime the last 2 games to beat the Hurricanes, but it's playoff hockey. If that's what it takes, and you win the games, and so be it. But now the series, it's an interesting dynamic because both teams have won both their home games. Someone's due to win a road game somewhere, unless we don't see a road team win this whole series, which is highly unlikely. But now I think the pressure's all on Carolina. Now, okay, we have to win another home game. If we drop this one in front of our fans, we have to go back to Nashville on the brink of elimination. So I think if you're the Predators, you're full force. You're just going into tomorrow's game going, we don't have much to lose because we still get to come home. We're guaranteed 1 home game. And I think they played well. There's stretches where they go out and they play ahead. They just got to limit those quick strikes from Carolina. They scored, I think, 10 seconds into the 3rd period yesterday. Just small lapses from their defensive side. But I think the Predators are in a great spot. And I think anyone that thought this series was going to be quick and easy was out of their mind because this team is different. And Rob Brindamore, before they went in the series for Carolina, said, hey, this team they're equipped for the playoffs. They're way different than the first 20 games of the season. We have to watch out. And as much as you can say and prepare for that, it's nothing like real game time when guys are hitting each other and you just have that atmosphere that you're playing in Nashville, and it's not easy to win games up there. And we'll see who ultimately grabs the first road win, if there is one. So great series going on.
I will say, I believe that whoever wins this next game is going to win the series. Whoever goes up 3-2 is going to win the series. And like you said, Rod Brindamore said it a bunch of times prior to the playoffs. And I love it when coaches are serious like that. And they're like, look, guys, like, you guys are all out here making your predictions of sweep and gentleman's sweep. And I'm sitting here, and those guys know the game. Rod Brindamore, just as much as anybody knows, if tough, physical, smash mouth hockey is going to win you hockey games in the playoffs. And I think the Hurricanes have a really good blend of hard hitting and speed. But damn, man, like, I've watched Trocheck for so many years, and he's had so many injury problems, and he's taking a beating out there by this Predators team. And so is Sebastian Aho. And if you're a Lightning fan, right, you're up 3-1 in the series. And I'm not saying that you're looking ahead to the next series yet, but you're sitting there like, we're probably going to move forward. I don't think we're going to drop 3 in a row. You have to love this, because both of these teams are getting just destroyed out here.
Oh, yeah.
And it just only bodes better for you. And Panthers Lightning has been just as physical, right? But
oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, this series, I think, even for Florida, I mean, it's not over. And guess what? Like, if whatever happens tonight, if Florida wins, you still get to get on the plane and you get to play another game, come back to Tampa. So it's the mindset of just taking it one game at a time. So for both teams in this series, I think you're loving what you're seeing over there in Nashville and Carolina. They're beating the hell out of each other. They're guaranteed to go 6, and the longer that series goes on, the better it is for whoever matches up with them. So it's going to be a grind. I don't think this division as a whole is brutal, and I think it's the toughest division in hockey. People can agree or disagree, but throughout the course of this year, I think it's high scoring, heavy hitting teams, and I don't know. It's just, I don't think Carolina likes that style of hockey. I think that's what you're seeing, this pushback right now. But yeah, they're
no, Carolina's never liked this style of hockey. They've always been the finesse team, and they lost Justin Williams over the offseason. You're like, wait a second, where's that physicality? It's kind of not there anymore. And then they make the trade for Cedric Paquette. They had Paquette this year, right? That wasn't last year.
Yeah, they added him in the offseason. Yeah,
exactly. So you add Cedric Paquette, and you had to get physicality to replace Williams. But they always had a physicality problem. They bring in a Jesper Fast to replace. He was basically the forward replacement at the time before they got Paquette. Jesper Fast isn't big. He's not physical. He's good defensively. He's not a physical guy. So Carolina, in terms of pure matchup standpoint, physicality is dominating in terms of Nashville. And you guys are right. I mean, they're going to be worn out as we go into the next series. But we've been talking about series that are still going on, but there's 2 that are over already. And you know what? There's pretty much 3 that are over already. We'll talk about that third. So the first one we'll talk about, Colorado swept St. Louis. Honestly, I don't think any of us thought it would be a sweep, but St. Louis is, I don't know if you've got to retool or rearrange the roster, but you play Colorado, I get it, but the roster's older. Jaden Schwartz, Tarasenko are older. Ryan O'Reilly's older. Even David Perron, they don't really have a young group of players that you can say, okay, 5 years from now, this team's still going to be here. They're kind of in their window, and that window, honestly, it looks like it's closing because defensively I like them, but clearly it's not even good enough to win a single playoff game. Jordan Binnington is not worth the contract. He hasn't been since day one. Him and Matt Murray, the same thing happened to them. They go on their cup run, they sign the contract, not even close to the same guy afterwards. So it happened to both guys. And again, I don't know what St. Louis has to do. I think they're in a similar situation that the Washington Capitals are, where are you really going to keep going with the same group of guys? But Colorado, good for them. They should have won this series. But I think them sweeping St. Louis just shows, okay, we're here, guys. This is the year, because Colorado, man, if they don't, I've said it a million times, if you don't at least get to the Cup final, then what the hell are you doing? Because they've given McKinnon as much as he possibly needs over there. And if you can't do it, especially in a Western Conference where you look around, there's not that other team that you're like, oh, shit. Vegas is not an oh, shit team when you compare them to Colorado. Colorado's better than them. So I look around the league. Colorado, this is your year. But what do you guys think of this sweep?
I didn't expect a sweep. I thought more of like a 4-1
Yeah.
Maximum 4-2, just because Colorado is just that good. And I'm going to tell you now, I don't think that there's a better skating team in the National Hockey League. I watch these guys like I've
sick.
watched hockey for so long, and I love hockey. It's probably, aside from the National Football League, right, on Sundays, I love NFL Sundays, and I love college football Saturdays. Like, right, when football's on, I love football, right? That's probably my 1A. But my 1B and a very close 1A all my entire life has been sitting down and just watching the NHL, whether it's NHL Tonight, NHL on the Fly, whatever it is, right? I have never seen a defender like Cale Makar who just takes the face off and just does that, like walks the blue line. And it's so fast that the entire forward group is still getting out of the face-off zone. And Cale Makar has a perfect shot right at the front. It's just like, what in the world? And in a way, for the Blues, you're right. I don't think the window's closing. I think the window closed after they won that Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
They had been going to the playoffs for like all of the 2010s, couldn't do it. They finally did it. Windows closed, done. And I equate Jordan Binnington's contract to Joe Flacco's contract. Joe Flacco got a ridiculous contract in Baltimore after they went on that Super Bowl run.
Yep.
Rightfully so, in a way, because you saw him catch fire in the playoffs and he wouldn't miss a throw. And he did it when it mattered, right? Binnington caught fire, got them to the playoffs when they were the worst team in the league, and then won the cup, warranted give him the contract, right? But the thing is you put all that money in a young goaltender's face who caught fire at the right time, and then after that, your team's old. I think that the blueprint for the Blues is get as young as you can while keeping some of your veteran pieces around and retool as you go whilst trying to stay somewhat competitive. That's all you can do because Binnington's contract is fat. Now, for the Avs, I agree. You got to make the Stanley Cup final because they're not going to be able to keep these guys all in Colorado for much longer. Cale Makar is still on a rookie deal. He's going to command number one defensive guy in the league money. Mikko Rantanen, I don't know how much money he's getting right now, but he's going to need to be extended or given a new contract, or he's going to go and get a huge deal from somewhere else.
And then Landeskog, McKinnon, all these guys, Sod's making a good amount of money so that you can't keep all these guys.
And you want to eventually get a better goalie. Right? Because
theoretically.
Grubauer hasn't been your reliable number one. He gets injured, and then he goes missing sometimes, and then they have to win a West Coast shootout, and you need money. So I think for them this year, it's win the whole freaking thing or figure out what else. Because think about it this way. I think that any of these American teams would eat any of these Canadian teams for breakfast, lunch, and dinner because they don't play as physical, they don't play as fast, and they're used to playing with no fans in the building, and it's not playoff hockey. While the American teams are gradually increasing capacity to almost full, and they're playing a hard-hitting game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Avalanche will advance round 2 and go to round 3. When they play a Maple Leafs, when they play a Winnipeg Jets, whoever it may be, I think that will be a sweep. Like, I think that Western Conference Finals, no matter if it's Vegas or if it's Colorado, which I think it would be Colorado, will be a full-blown, not even in the same league, sweep.
I mean, those Canadian teams, it's true. They're just not there. I mean, Winnipeg to go and lose, I think it was like 10 out of your last 13 games, and then you get a lucky break because the Oilers don't know how to do anything in the playoffs. They're not a strong team. And then Toronto, you could previously, before the Tavares incident, which is terrible, and we wish him the best of luck, before that, you'd be like, I don't even know about Toronto. But now without Tavares, it's like, I don't even see it with the Maple Leafs. Montreal, if they make it, obviously not Montreal. If they're able to beat Toronto, imagine if it's Montreal and Winnipeg out of all teams in the fucking North Division. But I mean, it's true about Colorado. And, talk about this Bruins Capital Series. Bruins won the series as well. They just won it 4-1 in 5 games. And this is something that CJ and I were talking about. And Steve, I wanted to get your opinion on this. I was saying last week, listen, next year in the Eastern Conference, and there's some teams in the West as well, you've got the Boston Bruins, the Washington Capitals. Excuse me, there was a third team that I had on my list. It was and Pittsburgh Penguins. 3 teams, their entire cores are mid-30s. And the longer you go with losing in the playoffs, how long are you going to go to the same dance with the same guys? And I think the Washington Capitals are now in that situation. And I think the Boston Bruins will be, because I think they'll probably Now, I think Boston and Pittsburgh, I don't think either of them get to the Cup final. I think they lose before. So I think all three of these teams, when the season's over, they're going to be sitting there like, wait, I'm Boston. I've gone to the playoffs now for 10, 11, 12 years with Bergeron, Krejci, all these guys. We've won one Cup. Ovechkin and the boy, we've won one Cup. Pittsburgh, now they had a much better run, much more successful, but their window is closing too. And now you got St. Louis over in the West. CJ, you said it too. The old guard is passing the baton, and it's looking like it's coming sooner than we thought, but especially with those three in the East.
Yeah, I think that the Boston Bruins are still two seasons out from that conversation, but they're getting there. Capitals, for sure, they need to figure it out because they get there and then it's the same old Caps that just lose round one, and they just didn't even look like the 3 games went to OT, right? Or 2 games went to OT or something like that, whatever it was. I think there's 3 games went to overtime. So this series could have gone either way. But last night, I'm sitting there and I'm watching the game, and the Capitals kept rolling their fourth line. Their fourth line was their best line on the ice. And I don't know. They've got so much money in the wrong places right now. And Ovi's a free agent. So, yeah, the Capitals need to make huge decisions, like you said.
Yeah, and something that I don't think anyone's really touched on yet with the Capitals is look how much they gave up for Mantha. And you just got bounced in the first round. You got bounced in the first round. You gave up all that. Steve Yzerman absolutely went in there and fleeced them. Got Verana, got first-round picks for, I think, the next 2-3 years. And now all of a sudden you're Washington thinking, hey, we're going to make a deep run, give ourselves a chance at winning the Cup or getting a look at it. And it all goes burning up in flames. And I agree. I think this team needs to figure it out. They have to get younger. I get it. You want to have Ovi's going to be on the team until he's ready to leave the NHL. But you got guys like Oshie who still can play the game. Looking at Backstrom.
That's what I'm saying though. Like how long? Like they're great players and they're still producing, but you keep losing.
There's a time where you just got to go. Hey, it's time to part ways. Let's move guys. I think CJ made a great point with the Blues. It's like, keep your core together, but move some pieces along the way and while staying competitive. And the Capitals are in that same window. They can move a couple guys, get younger, get quicker. You have good goaltending coming up and getting ready, and Samsonov and Vanacek, those 2 guys can play at the highest level. It's just they need more time and more reps. But if you're the Washington Capitals, you have to get younger. You have to get better because the formula is not there anymore. It's you won your cup with what you had. But these guys are about to leave the door. They have 2 or 3 years left, and you're going to have to adjust. Or if not, it's going to hit you right in the face, and then you're going to fully rebuild, and it's going to be a long time removed to get to where you want to be. So I think all these teams are in that situation, except Boston's still young enough, and they have enough scoring and depth where they can ride that wave. But Pittsburgh's getting close. The Islanders, I don't really believe in them a whole lot. They have enough cap issues themselves with Barzal. I don't even know who their back end guys are. They get to re-sign this year, but all these teams in this division have the same problem, and they're gonna have to figure it all out.
The Flyers too. I mean, all those guys. I mean, but the biggest thing too is it's like you got to look at the past too and say, what if we wait too long? Because look what happened to the LA Kings. Look what happened to the San Jose Sharks and the Chicago Blackhawks. It was playoffs, boom, gone. And these teams haven't recovered. I mean, the Kings has been 4 or 5 years now of a rebuild. Sharks are in cap hell with Carlson and all these guys. And the Blackhawks, they made the playoffs once or twice. That's cute, but they were a first round bump and they're not ready yet. So it's just, I look at it and it's like, you got to know when to pull the trigger. And I hope that these teams know when to. I mean, maybe as a Ranger fan, I hope that the Capitals and Penguins fuck up, but that's for another time. But CJ, these teams have to make smart decisions and right now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is though is you got to look back on the Blackhawks and the Kings, and you got to look at where they made the sacrifice and they made the gamble to go and win.
Right.
And everybody is in that front office and that understands cap space and the win now window knows that you do it for the now, and then the post after the window is going to be horrible, right? It is what it is. like you sacrifice everything for a cup. You very rarely are a Tampa Bay Lightning who have sustained success, Stanley Cup, and they're not gone after that. They still have years left in the tank with the core because they did shit right. Okay. Most teams are going to basically sell their soul in that moment for those cup runs. And the Kings won it twice, I think, right? Didn't they win it twice?
Yeah, they got
Yeah,
2.
2 out of
They
3.
got 2. The Blackhawks got 3. And then you look back, you're like, okay, well, we got 2 and we got 3. Like, that's
Well,
good.
that's where Pittsburgh is right now. But like Washington, especially Boston, same group of guys for a decade plus, and they have 1 cup, and it was in 2011. Like, you're gonna keep running that guy. Krejci's 36, Bergeron's 36, Marchand's turning 34. I mean, like, how long are you gonna do this? It's like
the thing about the Bruins is they get somewhat of a slight exception because they're never out in round 1.
right,
And they're constantly round 2 or round 3.
right,
They just get there and they don't win because they lost in game 7 to the Blues a couple years ago, right?
yeah,
Now, when you look at teams like the Sharks, I think that was the perfect example that you gave because Sharks, didn't win it. I don't even know if they went to the Stanley Cup final, and they sold their soul for that roster.
yeah.
So, and they have nothing to show.
So hold on, the Sharks were the team. They lost to Pittsburgh, right? That one.
Yeah, they made it. They
That's
made
right.
it.
Well, they
That was-
made it.
Okay.
They don't have anything to show for it, you know. So again, you're right. You know, there is a changing of the guard here, but there's a changing of the guard. Here's how I see it. There's a changing of the guard from players to players, right? The Crosbys and the Obies have already handed the torch to the Matthewses and the McDavids, and the Barkovs and the McKinnons, and the those are your new core of superstars, and I'm probably missing a few, but those are your new core of your superstars in this league, right? Kucherov,
Pasternak,
Stamkos,
all those guys.
is
Yeah.
a little bit older, but right, they're all there. Okay,
Yeah.
there's not a changing of the guard from franchise to franchise, right? The Bruins, the Capitals, the Penguins, all these teams you've mentioned, the Chicago Blackhawks, they're still the gold standard. They're still the franchise that you want to be, right? The Lightning, that's a franchise that I would say is a gold standard as well. So all these teams, you know, when we're like, all right, well, the Penguins are going away, the Bruins are going away, whatever. Are they going away? Those are some of the best ran franchises in the NHL. And you know they're going to retool because nobody else has stepped up and said, no, I'm here, right? And I can't lump the Lightning in that argument yet because they're here and they're not going anywhere. But you know that those other teams, is there a franchise that can step up and be as smart and build that same success with the fan base, trophies, gold standard of winning? That hasn't happened yet. All these teams, even though that they're amazing generational players, are older and retiring. Who's the next franchise that's going to step up and make those right decisions that the other ones did? Because hell, dude, for the past 15 years, it's been the same damn teams that we think of every year. That doesn't.
Yeah, so I mean,
on the audio. Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, what CJ was saying, like, I mean, I completely agree with but I think that's kind of you give credit to the league. I think for there's not a whole lot of there's a good parity in the NHL with amongst teams where you have superstars everywhere. Like you look at Colorado, they had the luxury of having 3, 4, 5 guys: McKinnon, Landeskog, Rantanen, Makar. You look at the Lightning, same deal: Kucherov, Hedman, Stamkos, and so all these players. I don't think there's like I said, there's a passing of the torch, but these players that have been around, like the Pasternaks, the Matthews, the Marners, guys that are really hitting their stride right now in their game. I think you're starting to they're really getting noticed, and franchise by franchise, like you said, CJ. I don't think there's no team that you look at and go, hey, this is going to be the next dynasty or whatnot.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. I think the way these franchises are run, you look at Boston, I'm trying to think, Pittsburgh, the Lightning have been recycling guys and just keeping the process going. Even Toronto, as much as they can't get to the promised land, they still find a way to put a competitive roster together. You look out west, gosh, I mean, look at Colorado. They've gotten better as of late, but these teams are always going to be there because they're run so well at the highest level. The GMs, the ownership, they buy in to keep putting money into your product, and you're going to get the results. And that's just what's happening. I think you're starting to see that down south. CJ, I don't know, you could speak on this. I mean, the Panthers are starting to put in the money where it matters. I mean, yes, you put money into the goaltender that hasn't worked out yet, but they're getting high caliber players and guys that can play at the front end and the backside. You got the right coach. And so that's what most of these teams are doing now. They're putting money into their product, and you're seeing, the fruits of the labor kind of start to show. And so now the Rangers doing the same thing. They're starting to get a roster together. So these teams it's a revolving door. And I don't think you're ever going to see that in the NHL where a team's going to really clear with the cap. You're never going to see a team kind of just take over for an extended period of time. So, that's my take on that. But it's always going to be kind of a revolving door with superstar players too, because there's always guys coming in. Look at Cole Caulfield with the Canadians. Guys like that are going to keep coming into the league. He's going to be a superstar. Then the guys like Pastrnak, Matthews, they'll leave, and new superstars will be born. So I think that's just the way that it is in the league now.
Yeah, we're just in the middle of a transition, but does Edmonton fall into any of these categories? Because they have the young superstars, but who knows what their future is. It's amazing to me because the Pittsburgh Penguins, Crosby, Malkin, they did it, right? McDavid, Draisaitl. But the difference is, what did Pittsburgh have? They had Fleury and Letang, right? Edmonton doesn't have the goalie and D-man. They just don't. And I think that's why. So we'll get into that series now. Edmonton, I don't think, falls into any of these categories. They should be there. They should be a developing dynasty. You have the best duo in the NHL with the best player by far leading the way, 106 points in 53 games. The dude is from another planet. Now, I get it. He's playing, other Canadian teams. He's still all world. Everyone knows it. But the fact that in this division, you can't go in with Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins and outscore the Jets, who had won 10 out of 13 games and all this stuff, I don't understand it, man. And again, I don't even know if you can blame it on McDavid, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I'm so in between on this to where McDavid is so good that how do you blame anything on him because he's so overwhelmingly better, but he doesn't win.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a McDavid problem, and I definitely don't think it's a Draisaitl
Team problem.
I have. What did you say?
It's a team problem.
Yeah, I said the other day they're the Angels of hockey.
I think that's the perfect way to say it. Sorry, Cash. What were you saying?
No, you look at just a quick thought, real quick. I watched that game last night. That's the first time I think I've watched that whole series from puck drop to the final goal, final horn, and that was, I think, the best effort I think Edmonton's put out all series, other than the last two games. That's a punch in the dick for Edmonton. The series is over. Unfortunate, because you lose that game 3-1-0. They have no middle ground. It's either you're scoring 5 goals and you're losing the game 6-5, or you're losing 1-0 and you're getting no production on the score sheet. So this Edmonton team can't seem to find that middle ground. They can't find it where, okay, we're going to win a game 3-2. We're going to play a complete hockey game. They just can't do it. And I don't think you can blame McDavid for what's happening. The guy's working his ass off. You look at him every shift, guy's busting his ass to the corner, just trying to dish it to guys left and right. And it's just him and Draisaitl can't be the only guys putting up points, and that's not going to win you playoff games. It's not going to win you a cup. That's the grand prize. But I just think this team needs to really evaluate what they want to do going forward. You need a solid goaltender. You need more help on the backside defensively.
Way more help.
If you don't start doing that, I think you're going to see McDavid go, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go somewhere where I can win hockey games and be competitive when it matters. I think that guy he'll be the first person to tell you, I will take an increase, let's say, cut his points in half. I guarantee the guy would take less points, less goals scored to go win playoff hockey games and win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
He wouldn't give a shit about the records.
I agree. He's always been team first. He's not flashy. It's straight from the Crosby manual of how to be a superstar, but be for the team. And it's great to watch. And that's just the type of guy he is. And I think that it goes further than it just a team thing. I think a lot of it is actually an organizational problem. Whoever they have in their talent department, whoever they have making the decisions, I don't even know what the GM's name is. I don't know who the hockey ops guy is. I don't know who does these decisions, but it's fucking not good. I am sorry. You look at that line 3 and that line 4, it's just horrible.
Terrible.
It's so bad. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, and I'm not, look, I'm going to make this comparison. I don't think Mason Marchment is by any means an unbelievable NHLer, but he's a shit stirrer and he's going to go hit somebody and he'll get that occasional garbage goal, right? Edmonton doesn't have that. They don't have a Yanni Gord. I'm just paralleling it to Lightning Panthers series. They don't have a Sorelli in the bottom 6. They don't have a Marchment. They don't have a Vetrano who can make it happen in the bottom 6 and get you that goal and to relieve some pressure, right? They don't have a line 3 and a line 4 that on any given night could be that the go line and get line 1 and line 2 off the ice.
And what's worse is they might not even have Nugent Hopkins now. He's a free agent, and I guarantee you he walks.
Oh, he's going to walk too. Because they need to spend that money elsewhere. Yeah. They need to spend the money. And the thing is I'm sitting here and I'm like, look, where is the talent department? What is the GM doing in the offseason? The Panthers literally pieced this defense this year that outperformed to my like above my imaginations, because the Panthers defense has been so bad the past few years. They got Forsling off waivers from the Blackhawks or the Hurricanes or whoever he was with. They got what's his face, Noah Juleson, who was playing great before his injury, off waivers. They like where is the Oilers? Where are they trying to get these guys from?
Yeah, they went and got Kulikov
at the deadline, which he was a Panther. And I don't think Kulikov is necessarily bad, but that's not what you need. He's another puck-moving defenseman.
Right. That's what Tyson Barrie is too. They didn't need that.
You need a guy who can hit. You need a stay-at-home defender. You need to find those third and fourth line. You have so much skill in the top 6. Get a third and a fourth line that is straight hitting, that are on minimal contracts, that go out there and they're fighting to get a new contract. You need to get those prove it guys, right? The Panthers found Gustav Forsling this year, who's going to get a new contract in the offseason, who they're paying, I think, under $1.5 million this year, who's been incredible, right? Where is that in Edmonton? And I'm not saying the Panthers are smart. They got smart this year. Like the Bill Zito hire was great. They've got a great talent department who's actually no bullshit, right? Getting guys out of the team that shouldn't be there. The Oilers don't have that. McDavid, I don't think McDavid ever sits there and goes, God, I got to get into a different locker room. I think he loves the guys that are there. But what he needs to get away from is this plague that is their front office, who makes shit decisions and doesn't put in the fucking work to go and find these gem guys that you can get for low cost. The Bruins have had that for years. They have had a revolving door of line 3 and line 4 guys that play the same and they play hard. And when it gets in the playoffs, you know that there's not going to be any shifts that you can take off against the Bruins because they have a minimal line that's going to come out and play kind of like shit. They have 4 lines that they're going to roll every night. The Capitals, when they won the Cup, had 4 lines that they can roll every night. The Pittsburgh Penguins too. I'm just sitting here. I'm watching the Oilers. I'm like, if it's not line 1 or line 2, you're fucked because the other team's going to score, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because like I was kind of half right and half wrong before the season. I said the Oilers were not going to make the playoffs because at the time I was looking at what Vancouver did in the year before. You still had Calgary, who 4 or 5 years in a row. And I was like, okay, Toronto, Calgary, Vancouver, and I set a 4th team. And I didn't have Edmonton in. And, Steven Adam, they were right at the end of the day, but they were like, McDavid and Draisaitl, they're not going to miss the playoffs. But my point was, other than them, what the fuck do they have? And now that's being shown because they might not even win a playoff game. And it's so, yeah, it worked in the regular season against a division of, let's just say it, a division of just mediocre to below average hockey teams. It worked. But they're going to go back into the Western Conference next year, and they're going to have to play everybody, and they're not going to have a defense, and they might not even have a second-line center if Nugent Hopkins leaves. So then line 2, line 3, line 4, all question marks, and you've just got the big 2, and that's it. That's got to change. I said before the season, why didn't they call Columbus and say, hey, you have 2 really good goalies. Can we take one of them, please? They didn't do that. They didn't call the Florida Panthers and say, hey, Chris Driedger has 1 year left on his contract, and we know you're paying Bobrovsky $10 million. Can we take Driedger for a few prospects? Florida would have been like, yeah, we'll take some young players. We know we're losing Driedger anyway.
Florida would have loved to have fucking done that.
Yep.
They would have loved to have taken maybe even a second round pick off your hands, right? Like,
yeah, and even Colorado. Yeah, and even Colorado this year, they got Devin Dubnyk from the Shark. They don't even need Dubnyk. And I'm not saying Dubnyk is somehow better than Mike Smith because they're both probably at the same level. But Edmonton didn't do anything. They got the only trade deadline move was Kulikov, and that's it. And don't tell me, Clefbaum's been out for the year. Last year, he was like a minus 20 something. So don't give me Clefbaum. Yeah, they don't have shit.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter, Clefbaum or not. But, I mean, I don't know. For McDavid needs to strip the nice guy, I love being an Oiler, and needs to demand some shit. And if that's getting a couple of fucking bozos in that front office fired, then that is what it needs to be.
That's got to happen now.
Because the Panthers, look, again, I keep equating this, but I think the Panthers' situation was so unbelievably similar. You had Dale Talon, who was a plague and was giving out horrible contracts and not getting your prove-it guys and not getting your guys that are going to bring it every shift. The Oilers are the same way. What happened? The Panthers bring in Bill Zito, this is his first GM gig, and it's a complete culture change. Every line needs to be playing or we're going to bench you, right? They weren't shy this year to say, Sergei, it's not your net. I don't care if you're being paid $10.5 million. Strawman, I know I'm paying you $6 million this year. You're sitting for the next month. It's not there in Edmonton. And McDavid has got to strip the nice guy thing. I don't know what Draisaitl's contract is. I don't know if he's gotten that mega extension yet. I don't know what deal he's on. But whatever the deal is, he should be paid more. They're paying McDavid $12.5 million every year. And with the current cap situation in the NHL, that's a fuckload of money. But that doesn't mean you can't piece together a decent team, right? You give the Edmonton Oilers half of that Tampa Bay Lightning bottom six, put them on that team. Oilers are walk through the Canadian division. Right?
Oh yeah,
they walk through it. It's not
right.
even
If they had any physicality to match Winnipeg's, series over.
Physicality. The coaching is terrible too. I'm sorry, the coaching is shit there. The Tippett should not be the coach there anymore. He needs to be goodbye out of there.
It's got to be a whole clean sweep.
It's sad for me though, because I remember, I think it was McDavid's year one. I believe it was his year one. And he brought Edmonton to the second round of the playoffs as a rookie.
Yeah, I remember that year. That was great.
Dude, I was like, holy shit, the Oilers are going to be good for so long. This guy's a freak. They haven't done shit. They haven't done absolute shit. You know why? Because that year, McDavid was on a rookie contract, and they had money to put elsewhere. And they actually had a decent team around him.
Yeah, they did. They had
got to round two.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, and I'm like, if the Panthers were up against Edmonton tomorrow in a series, I wouldn't even blink an eye. I'd be like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't care, because they don't have a team outside of line one and line two. It's a shit team. It's nothing. And the defense is horrendous. Like, my friend yesterday texted me. He's like, oh man, dude, I hope the Panthers make a move for Darnell Nurse. He's good. I'm like, Darnell Nurse isn't bad. He's good and all. He ain't a fucking defender.
Yeah.
Sorry. He's another winger.
He's a winger playing D. Yeah.
Right? Like, holy fuck. It's just like, it's like the Oilers have like 6 Keith Yandles back there. I'm like, this isn't going to win you hockey games. Oh my God.
Yeah. No, it's true, man. It's true. But
what the fuck?
At the end of the day, you hit all the points. This team needs they don't need the flashy guys. They need like you said, the guys that are going to find the front of the net. All of a sudden you go and you look out, the play's developing. You go, oh shit, where did that guy come from in the crease? And he tips it home. That's the guys you need. You need the guys that work in the corner, can score you 15, 20 goals a year, very low key. They come out of nowhere, and that's it. And they're cheap, they're expendable, and they'll work wherever you put them. And that's the guys the Oilers need on the backside, because it'll work itself out. The Lightning, the Panthers, if you've watched this series, goals are being scored from everywhere. It's not just the superstars, it's the bottom 6 guys, it's the third line, fourth line forwards, and Edmonton needs to adopt that kind of style. And to hit on what they've been missing out on, it started in the offseason. Jacob, me and you talked about it before. How many goaltenders were open in free agency and not one did they go after. The Mrazek's, God, Dubnyk was out
Dude,
there.
they let fucking Thomas Greiss go to Detroit, and they're a terrible team.
Mm-hmm. Thomas Greiss, who's the backup in Detroit? It's
Bernier.
God, Bernier. They signed him for cheap, and he's had a great year. So there's been ample opportunities for this team to get better and improve, but just kind of sitting in the weeds, going like, what are we gonna do? Just kind of
stick with Mike Smith, I guess.
Yeah, and if you're McDavid, you got to demand changes, because it's not going to change unless you say something or speak up and change that culture, because they're going to still be the same team if nothing in the front office changes, because there's no drive and no push from that side of the organization.
But it's paralleled in every single sport. This is the same bullshit that happened to LeBron with his first stint in Cleveland. Who the fuck was there? LeBron brought them to the promised land. They went up against the fucking Spurs. And who was LeBron's second best player? Delonte fucking West. What happened? LeBron left. LeBron was like, I need to learn how to win somewhere else. Like, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. I don't care how good I am. I don't care if I'm the best player in the league. This isn't going to work for me. It's the same shit with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson's incredible. He's unbelievable. He's going to bring the Ravens to the playoffs every year that he's in this league. Are they going to ever win it? No, because they don't put the fucking money where it needs to be.
Hey, hold on. Hey, Julio Jones, I guarantee you gets traded there.
He could get traded there. And then there you go. They're actually fucking doing something. But like, holy shit. It's just bizarre to me, because you watch the Oilers and it's like they easily have the literal best tandem in the last 15 years. Like, I can't even.
It's Crosby Malkin is under them. That's it.
It's Crosby Malkin is right there tied with them, and they actually won cups.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just sitting there and like I just can't even. Like, people on Twitter fucking like go after the Panthers for wasting Barkov and Huberdeau. I'm like, look, fuck you. Go give your attention to the Oilers, who are really screwed.
Yeah, exactly. No, there are two other series that we haven't even talked about yet that other fans are listening to this. We'll get to them too. Islanders and Pens tied at 2 right now. They're playing tomorrow. Actually, they're playing tonight, 7:00. Excuse me. Series is tied at 2. And then the Wild and Golden Knights play tonight. Vegas can clinch tonight, and they're at home. So I think Vegas will. And we really don't need to talk about it. I mean, no offense to Vegas fans or Minnesota fans, but it's pretty clear on paper. Minnesota, we said it before the series. Every year they go in the first round. Every year they exit right out because they don't have anything that's overpowering. They're a great regular season team. Now they have Kaprizov at least and Greenway and some guys to build off of. But until they clear that $20 million hole of Parise and Suter, even though they're still serviceable, and they clear cap room and get more superstars, they're going to be the same exact first-round exit team. Vegas is taking advantage of that. I don't think they're as good as Colorado. They've struggled more with Minnesota than Colorado did with St. Louis, and I think St. Louis is better playoff-wise than if St. Louis and Minnesota had to face, I'd be picking St. Louis in that series based off experience. So that's what I'd say there. And in terms of this Islanders-Penguins series, I don't think it really matters who wins because the winner's going to face Boston, and whoever wins that series is going to get absolutely mauled by Tampa. So I don't think the teams in the East, that's called the Eastern Division, I don't think any of them. I think they're all too old for Tampa, and I think they trounce right over them. I really don't even think – like Boston will give them a fight because they're ball. We all know they won't go away. Tampa's going to trounce whoever comes out of that East Division. But as far as the other one, Minnesota, Vegas will win. So what do you guys think about those two? And then obviously Toronto, Montreal tied at 1. They'll still win the series too.
I don't think
valiant effort by the Wild, but they don't have enough scoring. That's my take on that series. They've given them all they could, but I watched the last game and as much as when the Wild can keep up with them, they can play defense. I turned away for probably 5 minutes, turned the game back on. It's 4-1 Vegas. And I was like, and that's just how the series is going to go. I think it ends tonight for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're about a year or two out. That Kaprizov kid is an absolute savior for that franchise because they needed to find that scorer.
Yep.
And they still have a year or two with Parise and Suter being somewhat serviceable and great in the locker room, and that will stay there. I like that Foligno kid. I think he's good. They've got like one or two other guys that I'm forgetting.
Spurgeon and Greenway are pretty good, and Dumba.
Spurgeon, Greenway, good. Matt Dumba's there. I think that they're a sneaky good offseason away from making somewhat of a run at going to a round 3, not a cup, but a round 3.
Because I'm right there with you.
There. And I think Kaprizov will take this offseason to bulk up a little bit, put some weight on, and who knows. But anyway, I don't think the Maple Leafs Canadiens series is necessarily over just yet. So, Steve, what do you think about that series?
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting one. I think that one's going to go. I think it goes at least 6. To not having Tavares, I think, kind of hurts the Leafs depth wise, but I think the Canadians have the formula. They have the formula. They can win tight checking games. They had a lapse last game 2. It was 1-1 for a while, and then Toronto just found the back of the net. They had a little push there in late in the second. Got some separation there, but I think if Montreal plays it tight checking close, they have the ability with Carey Price, who has been world class, can turn it on at any given moment. And I think if they get some scoring, I think Montreal is set to push the series deep. So getting Cole Caulfield in the lineup tonight could be a little boost there. That guy's going to be a stud. He came in late in the season, scored I think 3 or 4 goals, a couple overtime winners. I think the team likes him when he's out there on the ice, and I think this is a lot closer series than people think, just because Toronto has their woes recently. They can't seem to get over that hump of getting out of the first round. So they still have that lingering. Their goaltending is kind of iffy. I know you have Campbell back there, and then you have Anderson. So I think if you're Montreal, you put a spot up on Campbell tonight, then you might start to get in their head a little bit, and maybe they change goaltenders. So definitely a turning point in the series. It goes back to Montreal, and if they can steal this one tonight and get ahead, you'll be in a great spot to maybe upset the Leafs in this series.
The reason why I think Toronto is still going to win this is because in the Northern Division, there aren't any fans, so it's about which team has the better roster and really is going to prevail over a longer series. That's why I think Toronto still has it, because they are a better roster than Montreal. But although I would say defensively, Montreal is probably better than Toronto, but obviously offensively, I think Toronto's got more guys, and I think that's going to prevail over the series. But what about this Islanders-Penn series? Are you guys with me that whoever really comes out of this isn't going very far after?
I would disagree slightly. Now, I'm going to backtrack for real quick, and I just want to make one quick statement.
Okay.
I think Carey Price is the best playoff goalie in the NHL. And I'm not saying regular season and whatnot. I genuinely think Carey Price is just holy shit insane. I think he's the best playoff goalie. Now, in terms of the Islanders-Penn series, I think the Pens have more of a chance to go further than the Isles. I think, like I said on that last pod, Jacob, I think they're getting older. They're already old, and I think that the past couple of years they've gone on these long runs, and their legs are finally caught up to them. And I just don't see them as that same like, oh shit, I'm playing the Islanders. Like I'm gonna generate a bunch of shots, and they're gonna get some rinky-dink goals, and they're gonna block some shots on the ground, and then we're gonna end up losing. I don't see that again. I think the Pens win the series. I think the Pens Bruins series would be really good because Crosby will be freed up a little bit. Maybe Malkin comes back. Gensel will be freed up a little bit because the Islanders play that skin-tight defense. Yep. And I think the Bruins are a touch looser, and they like to open up the game more for their speedy wingers. So I think that a Penguins-Bruins series, you never know what could happen. I would say the Bruins will probably win that, right? And I think that they will handily beat the Islanders because they're just way more skilled than the Islanders. So yeah, that's that on that one. I'm not enamored with this series. I'll only be enamored when it's Game 7 because Game 7 anything can happen. But I'm not sitting there like, oh, the Pens and the Islanders are on TV. I gotta watch. Whereas when the Bruins or the Capitals were on TV, I would go and watch. I've been watching the Avs series out because there's some players in there that I want to watch. I like the Wild in the Vegas series. They're closely contested games. I'm just not watching the Pens and Islanders, and I'm like. And I think it's mainly an Islanders thing. I can't stand watching those guys, man.
Yeah.
They're just boring. They're just boring to me. Their goals, I'm like, get out of here. Like, just stop,
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe that's just my Panthers bias because I don't like them. But
hey, I'm a Ranger fan. I don't like them either.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I think this series goes 7. If we're being real, it's been back and forth. The Penguins play a style, and it seems like it's gonna work out for them. But the Islanders play that Columbus state. They're a more skilled Columbus team. They can score. They're some of the most bullshit goals you'll ever see. After watching them playing them in a 6-game series last year, it's a pain in the ass. Every game you go to play them, you think, all right, we're gonna break them. We'll score 5-6 goals, but they just don't let you breathe. Even if you get a 2-0 lead, they'll get a cheeky goal, make it 2-1, find a way to tie it, force it to overtime, and you're fighting for your life. So every game is tight checking. There's no space out there. Playing them just frustrating, and watching them personally, I'm on the same page as CJ. It's not fun. I'd rather go watch a high-paced Colorado game or Boston where it's going up and down the ice nonstop. But the Islanders, it's credit to Barry Trotz. He's coached that team to play that structure, play in that system, and it's worked out. They win hockey games. And if you're a fan, you love it. But if you're not a fan, you it's just hard to watch. It's boring style of hockey. But who wins the series? I think I'll give the edge to Pittsburgh. I think they have enough speed, experience to get it done. And I think that's if you're Pittsburgh, you get out of this first round and it starts to open up. You go play Boston. The pace it's increased. I think this could be an opening for them if they can get through this first round.
Yeah, well, hey, are you guys saying that it's not fun to watch Matt Martin, Cizikas, and Clutterbuck on a line together? It's not the most entertaining thing in the league.
No,
It's so brutal. He's so brutal. Matt Martin, that guy somehow scores goals, but he's a goon. Literally, that guy just runs around head hunting people. And
Yeah. No, Clutterbuck's my
just-
least favorite. I can't stand that guy. He always scores clutch goals out of absolutely nowhere. The dude just stands somewhere and he'll hit off his kneecap and he'll be like, oh, Cal Clutterbuck, there he is, right in front of the net, like always, net front present. Clutterbuck sucks. The only reason he's still in the league is he's on that damn line. Any other team, he ain't on a goddamn roster right now because he doesn't do anything. He's protected by Matt Martin and he's protected by Cizikas' defense. Clutterbuck is just there. They just tell him, hey, Clutterbuck, go run out there and whack people's ankles and hit them in the back and shove them into the boards, and maybe something will clank off your leg. That's why Clutterbuck pisses me off, because that's all he does, and it fucking annoys the shit out of me. And it's been like 8 years now. The guy doesn't stop.
yeah, it's true. I mean, listen, man, I went through it with that Panthers Islanders series in 2016.
Yep.
The same shit 5 years ago. I went through it last year in the Stanley Cup qualifiers. It's just the same shit with that line every night. Hey man, they're successful and they're a fan favorite, so they're never going to necessarily shove them out of the building until that they're like totally not serviceable. But anyway, I'm gonna bring up a question here for the two of you. And Steve, I'm not trying to jump the gun and put some bad voodoo on the Lightning here, but let's say the Lightning move forward in the playoffs to the Western Conference final or the Eastern Conference Finals and played a Boston. Give me your honest take, because I think that Boston, after watching them, would be a real on the side of the Lightning, and I think that it would be a really fucking tough series.
Yeah, they always are. I hate playing those fucking assholes. They get behind, they get under your skin. They get on the power play. If you give them the man advantage, they will kill you, because that line, Pastrnak, Bergeron, Marchand, I don't know who quarterbacks the line. I think it's McAvoy.
Yeah, man.
But personally, I mean, we played them enough in the postseason. I think the last 3 years we faced them two out of the last 3 years and beat them. It's a team I wouldn't want to face. Beatable, yes, but I think they want, I think, a piece of the Lightning, and to beat them and to get to the Cup final again, they would love that opportunity. But with Boston, whoever they face or whatnot, if you shut that first line down, you win the series. That's the formula to beating them, because you can score. Tuukka Rask he's not God. He will give up a 3-4 spot, but if you shut down that first line with Pastrnak, Marchand, and make their secondary scoring come out, you beat them. That's how you beat the Bruins. But it would be a great series. I think it goes 6, maybe 7, but a long way to go. But I don't know who does Boston gets the winner of the Islanders, correct? Right?
Yeah.
They get them.
Yeah. So we're jumping around there, but
we're jumping around, but I'm just saying
but,
like a theoretical series.
No, I mean, I think it'd be a good series. I think those two teams, they hate each other. Talk about the Panthers and Lightning hitting each other. Those two teams have bad blood. And if they were to face each other, that'd be just as bad. It's sometimes those games aren't even hockey. It's just guys fighting and scrums after every whistle. So
and that would be
a long way to go, but
it would be interesting to see too, because normally those are division rivals. They haven't played each other one time all year.
Exactly.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
What do you guys think is the future of the Panthers Lightning rivalry now? Do you think like there's always been like a little bit of bad blood between the fans on Twitter, and it's always been the games have been testy over the years. Nothing like this. Do you think that the rivalry is fully arrived, and do you think that they'll start featuring this rivalry on like a Rivalry Wednesday or one of those marquee rivalry matchups? I think it's finally here.
Oh, it is.
I would agree. I mean, ESPN, TNT, they got to find rivalries. They got to find ratings right away. Crowds will be full capacity. They'll be sold out. Florida hockey is actually really popular, even though people wouldn't think that. There's a ton of hockey fans in Florida. I mean, there's more hockey fans that I talk to than basketball fans in Florida, which to me is crazy because you have the heat and everything like that. I meet more hockey people than I do basketball people in this area. It's hot here. And you've seen it all on Twitter. That shit was trending all over the place nationally. And people were like, this is hockey. If you want to show someone hockey, this is the game. That game one, everyone's like, this is the game you would show someone. If you're trying to show them hockey, I think ESPN, TNT, they'd be pretty dumb not to exploit it. Because what other rivalries do you have in the NHL right now that both teams are good at the same time? That's the problem that I think they have. You could go the NBC route, and every single week you show a different Metropolitan Division matchup. That seemed to be all NBC did, and people knock them for that. They're like, how many fucking times is NBC going to have Flyers Bruins, Flyers Caps, Caps Bruins, Penguins Rangers? That's all that NBC did. Branch out, show us other things. Tampa, they're winners. It's just like the Bucks get all these primetime games. Why? Because they win. The Rays even this year. The Rays, they've been on more primetime broadcasts than they ever really are. And that's because they're winning. And when you win as a franchise, you should be in those big games. And absolutely, this rivalry is going to continue. We've talked about it. Ekblad, you just got to pray he's there next year. That changes the whole thing completely. And we've seen Tampa with the cap. Who knows what the hell they're going to have to do? They're way over. And the only reason that they're able to play right now is because it's the playoffs and they're able to go over. But people are going to have to go, and it's not going to be the same Tampa team. They're not going to be able to roll out the same unstoppable group of guys. So absolutely, the rivalry's here, and TV networks would be dumb not to exploit it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah,
and
the rivalries.
Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
No, the rivalry's here. It's now that there's meaningful games being played when it matters the most to win the ultimate prize. It's really kind of it's gotten to the ice cap, like the top of the mountain. The rivalry's always been there. In state, obviously, fans, the players don't like each other because you're facing each other 5 times a year normally, but now with this year, you face each other 8 times. Now it's boiled into now you're going into game 5 tonight, maybe potentially even more games down the road. It's there. You can see it on the ice. That there's a fight almost every whistle. Someone's in someone's face. The chirps are there. I was there on Saturday. There's at the 300 level. There were quite a few Panthers fans, and I talked to a few of them outside the stadium. They're excited that their team is fine. It's there now. The formula is there to win. The coaching staff is there. The talent's there. Now you have a product where you have a legit chance to go and do some damage. So it's exciting for the game of hockey. You turn on NBC and they're talking about Lightning and Panthers. And 10 years ago, you would have never thought that a national broadcast would be like so excited about 2 teams from Florida really being the hottest series in the game right now. So even Twitter, I was looking at comments after game 1. People like, this is amazing. It's the best hockey game I've watched in years.
I've seen that all over the place.
And so it's cool. I mean, no matter what team you're a fan of, it's fun to watch because the game of hockey's grown exponentially in the state of Florida, and it's only going to get bigger. And it makes you proud because you look at all these teams from up north, like the Canadian teams like, oh yeah, hockey can't ever exist down in Florida. It's too hot to play down
They
there.
all suck.
You guys have no
Yeah.
fans. And hey, guess what? You have two teams that are starting to eclipse. The Lightning are there. Panthers are about to. They could go and beat any team in the league, and they've shown that the last few years. And I think fan bases are upset that it's not normal. You're not seeing the stereotypical original 6 teams, only the ones that can succeed in the league.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. It's not just Florida and Tampa are good at the same time. They're, I think, undisputedly the best 2 teams of the Atlantic next year. So they're going to be first, second place battle the entire year, which adds to it even more.
Yeah, I definitely think, I don't want to look too ahead to the offseason here just because we still got a series that we're in. But I do think that the Panthers are going to be in a prime position in the offseason to make some decisions that will free up some cap. And they want to get Strawman off the books. Maybe a team will eat 70% of his contract just to get a veteran guy in on their bottom pairing. Yandel, I think, will be able to have a home somewhere that they have a damn good defense already. They need a power play quarterback, right? I think that they're going to be able to offload those guys. I think the Panthers, they just got to make sure that they don't lose Huberdeau and Barkov. But again, I'll agree there. I think that next year going into whatever division that the Lightning and the Panthers are in, they're going to be 2 of the best. And I love the fact that they keep them in the same division, keep that energy, keep it going. And I think a lot of people, if they asked about it, they would say, give me Panthers Lightning every year in a playoff, whether it be round 1 or round 2. And until the Panthers get that monkey off their back of winning a playoff series, I'm sorry, but that mental roadblock is always going to be there. There's something in the franchise where they just feel like they can't do it, no matter how good the team is. And it sucks that we ran into the Lightning this year, but I think we'll be back and we'll be great. But anyways, yeah, those are my final thoughts.
Yeah, and it's been a good pod. We went a long time this time, 90 minutes, crazy, but it's playoff time. That's what we do. Adam also said, by the way, Lightning, he doesn't think they're going to retaliate, but he thinks they are going to win and end the series up tonight. Of course, that's Adam for you. But you can check us out on
What's
Twitter.
Your score prediction before we leave? What's your score prediction?
Score? 4-1 Lightning. I'm reversing.
I don't make any predictions. I think I got someone's winning 3-2.
Yeah. I'll just predict a 1-goal game, whether it's overtime or not.